The Toronto Blue Jays are making moves as they have made multiple crucial moves, and following what has been a disappointing last couple games for the Toronto Blue Jays, they not only have reinforcements on the way, but we have some updates that have huge implications going forward. We're going to dive into exactly what those updates are and discuss the moves, as well as John Schneider calling out one particular player. Folks, you're going to want to stay tuned until the end of this video, but before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support, folks. This is unfortunate. Of course, luckily the Jays play again this afternoon. They lost, got absolutely pummeled in the series opener against the White Sox of all teams. And in what's been an up and down past few games for the Toronto Blue Jays, we have some reinforcements on the way, and there is some positive updates and some moves to take out of what has been a very interesting last 24 to 48 hours following back-to-back losses for the boys here. But let's dive right into it. Now, there's a bunch of different things, and obviously, we're going to start quickly with John Schneider before we get into the moves, calling out the Jays, because this kind of sets the tone for what the rest of this video, and of course, what the rest of the moves are looking like here. He's called it a tough build-up for Turnbull, who struggled. We know he's thrown 80 pitchers in the minors and can offer that, but at the same time, you're in the business of winning games every night, and it's up to him to dictate what we're going to do. So basically calling out, Spencer Turnbull was terrible yesterday, basically calling him out and saying, hey, we know what we wanted from you. We told you what we wanted from you, and you were unable to deliver, and it was fully on him to deliver that. And now that begs the big question mark of what is going to happen next surrounding both Spencer Turnbull, but also the Jays in that front. Stay tuned until the end because there's some more comments from John Schneider, some new updates surrounding the Jays that kind of relate to this. But let's go into the moves here now a little bit. So the Blue Jays have optioned outfielder Will Robertson and Justin Bruihl. Nathan Lucas and Nick Sandlin are back. So this is very good news for the Jays in a couple different reasons. One, the Jays were desperately lacking in the center fielder department. They needed a center fielder. You were running, again, Will Robertson out there from time to time. George Springer, who's one of the worst qualified defenders in baseball out there. But both Nathan Lucas is back from his concussion protocol, but Nick Sandlin is back. Now, Nick Sandlin, we haven't had him back for a while. The bullpen is slowly starting to build up. And we're going to hope now that that game yesterday was just a blip in the matrix and that we're going to be back to hopefully mashing baseballs in today's game. But for Nick Sandlin, he was a very useful reliever. Again, I always mention on the channel, he was great in extra innings early part of the season. He is back. Filthy stuff, and this is big news. Now, the unfortunate part is that Justin Bruihl and Will Robertson are sent down. Now, Will Robertson had a very, very brief stint in the majors. Unfortunately, of course, got, sent down here, and we'll dive back to him in a minute. Justin Bruihl, who pitched, I believe, 2 2/3 innings of scoreless ball for the Jays, wouldn't be surprised if he comes back sometime soon. He's a lefty. He looked very, very good. Has some really good AAA numbers and peripherals here. Like, there's just a lot of things to be excited about for Justin Bruihl, especially in the immediate future. And if Mason Flaherty continues to struggle, I'm not saying send him down right now, but Justin Bruihl is right there and ready to take Mason Flaherty's spot because Justin Bruihl was a beast in his brief time. You can kind of see how his stuff would play. But for Will Robertson, a brief stint, still, a decent Jays prospect, was mashing in AAA. But it goes to show how different AAA is from the majors. And Will Robertson, he looked overmatched. And hopefully we'll see him again at some point. But again, there's such a logjam here. I wouldn't be surprised if he's used more as a MLB trade chip. I guess a trade chip. I don't know why I said MLB. A trade chip towards other teams rather than someone who's actually going to get a ton of run with the big league clubs. You have so many outfielders right now. And again, he's not a young prospect, 24, 25, I believe he is. So shout out to Will Robertson. Made his debut. Got his paycheck there for getting called up to the big. So it is what it is. The fortunate reality is, of course, he is going to be sent down. But again, Nathan Lucas is the better option. Nick Sandlin is also probably a better option than Justin Bruihl. I'm pretty high on Justin Bruihl. I know it was like a brief little bit there, but I liked what I saw from him. And again, he had some pretty good peripheral stuff, which is ideal. But let me know down below your thoughts on the moves. You're upset either of these guys are gone. Folks, we have a ton of updates to go over. Now, let's start with the Max Scherzer stuff because this is where it gets a little bit interesting. And we also have a Dalton Varsho update. A lot here today. But Max Scherzer's thumb is progressing as planned. He has a bullpen session scheduled for today, I guess what it is now. From there, the Jays will determine the next steps with Scherzer because, again, late last night they said bullpen scheduled for tomorrow, which is today, who appears likely to start for the Guardians next week at some point. So he is going to be returning. We'll probably have some clarity either before the game or into, Sunday probably, which is tomorrow, surrounding Max Scherzer. It seems now Ben Nicholson-Smith has been fully on the train up. He's going to return probably for that Tuesday spot start against the Guardians. And that's what I've been telling you guys. I said it in yesterday's video or the day before as well, that Scherzer's looking at a Tuesday start for the Cleveland Guardians, or against the Cleveland Guardians, rather. And you need Max Scherzer back. Again, you look at the schedule here. Of course, they play the White Sox today, and then Sunday, Junior Day Sunday, off day Monday, which is helpful, and they could push the starters back a little bit more if they wanted to. But then you go up against some very good teams, the Guardians, the Red Sox, and the Yankees, and that Yankee series is going to be crucial. So having Scherzer have a start before he plays against the Yankees or the Red Sox is obviously going to be very important, especially just given the fact that it's great news that his thumb is fine now. But of course, it matters a lot more. Like Scherzer's a beast. He's going to want to play anyway, but it matters a lot more what happens today, tomorrow, especially during his bullpen session. But folks, he is nearing a return. Mark Tuesday on your calendar. It is on the road, but that would be the day that I guess the series opener against the Guardians. Then you can kind of line everybody else up because we saw yesterday with the Spencer Turnbull stuff, like this team desperately needs him back. And I think this was, of course, before the game against yesterday night. You need to go, right? Like, and by that, I mean, you need to get these pitchers rolling. Like Spencer Turnbull is not going to work as a major league starter when he's throwing barely 90 miles an hour. You have not been able to fill up that fourth and fifth starter spot. And obviously you're not going to be able to win baseball games with 3 starters consistently, right? So it's unfortunate there. A few other updates. Very good news here. Dalton Varsho is nearing a return. He should be in games early to mid next week. Jimmy Garcia will likely pitch in a game on Monday. I assume that means a rehab game, not the Jays game, but it is what it is. Game Monday. Bowden Francis had a cortisone injection. He won't throw for a few days, and Santander still isn't hitting. So a few different things to unpack here. One, Varsho nearing a return. The goal was by the end of June. I would expect maybe Canada Day-ish for Dalton Varsho. I believe that is what also, it's all lining up with about the timelines that, Keegan Matheson said in my video there a few weeks ago. Dalton Varsho, end of June to early July. Max Scherzer, end of June, early July. Both of which are very likely at this point. We're going to be seeing Scherzer and Dalton Varsho come back within a very short period of time. Now, Anthony Santander, he seems to be, one of the guys who's not necessarily as close, but for Dalton Varsho, he ran the basics successfully. He's going to begin a rehab assignment with, I assume, AAA, go through that. Santander, he is what it is. He's not going to be, probably back anytime soon, maybe even after the All-Star break. It'll be interesting to see there. And then, of course, for the rotation plans, we assume Max Scherzer is going to be starting. But very good news for Dalton Varsho. The best news we've gotten in a very long time for him. Again, he's starting to run the bases. He's starting to really ramp up. And boy, could this team use him because you're getting 2 center fielders back now. You're getting Nathan Lucas and, of course, Dalton Varsho. Some other updates around the board. Just kind of dive into some more. Of course, Keegan gave the overview there. Jimmy Garcia, like I mentioned, he did a live bullpen that went well yesterday, hoping to pitch in a game next week. So we'll also see Jimmy here later this week. And then Ryan Burr, he is also, nearing a return as well. I know, people don't really talk about him as much. The Jays were extremely high on him in spring training. Keegan Matheson was kind of talking about how he was like under the radar guy. He was very good for the Jays last year, especially with the peripherals that he had with, some of the advanced analytics. Wouldn't be surprised if they move him on up. Again, the problem remains, though, like they don't have space. You're having to send guys down. And right now, that's easy to do with some prospects, some guys who are fringe, 4A players, basically. But when you start to get into the big league guys, Mason Flaherty, Chad Green, that's when decisions start to get interesting. And the Jays have an interesting decision themselves with Spencer Turnbull. Scherzer presumably back next week. Turnbull likely returns to the bullpen. So it'll be interesting to see what moves they make. But folks, you guys are absolute beasts. Ton of updates. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on the moves. John Schneider calling out the team and everything there. You guys are beasts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later. Also, let me know what your thoughts are. Dalton Varsho. Cheers.